Good morning. But it's not morning, it's afternoon. Ah, well, you're going to see a side of me that you don't normally see. That's the afternoon me. It's good to be with you today. I wanted to go through what happened in the last day and a half and just see if we can learn anything from it. I doubt we can. But I woke up. Today's Thursday. It's the 10th. Woke up Tuesday morning and came down and prepared for the live stream. And as soon as I got on the live stream, I had a cough, and I had phlegm. I mean, I coughed off the screen, but the phlegm like came down out of my mouth. It was disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And I was like, that's not good. So the whole time I'm sitting there embarrassed, for what happened. I'm like, this is going to be a meme. This is going to be terrible. And so I was embarrassed, but I was also not feeling well. And so the whole show was like, it was not my best work. And sometimes I tell you, like, I don't know what's going to happen for a live stream. It just, sometimes it goes well and sometimes it doesn't. Well, nothing was going right. It was not sharp. I had missed some transitions in the stream. It was really bad. And I was embarrassed. When I got off the stream, I wasn't feeling well. And my wife's, I was supposed to do some things, and my wife said, hey, let's go to get some lunch. So we went to get some lunch. And when we went to get some lunch, the drive was bad. I was feeling terrible. And we got to eat. I ate. The food didn't taste right. And after that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to shut it down. I made some decisions that weren't where they need to be. Like I tried to park in a spot and it just didn't go well. The brain, there was some significant amount of brain fog. And I thought that maybe at the time that maybe the brain fog was related to just I'd done too many shows in a row and I was just tired and then I just needed to rest. Well, I didn't feel well. When I coughed up that phlegm, that was terrible. And so, as I was going along the day, I just felt sicker and sicker. And finally I just shut it down. I shut it down and I just rested. And then the next day, yesterday, I wanted more than anything to do a stream. Like I really did. And I just physically, I couldn't even sit up. Like I wanted to lay down the whole day. I was exhausted, a significant amount of fatigue. And I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I wanted to. And then last night slept fine, but the morning, I just tried to get some rest and I still feel terrible, but I feel good enough to do a stream now. I think I'm on the right end. But anyway, my symptoms. So have like chest congestion, really bad. I have asthma. And so, I feel like whenever I get sick, it kind of hits me right there first. I had a headache, terrible fatigue, terrible aches and pains. My whole body felt like I was in a car accident. And the worst one of all is the weakness. So like whenever I walked up the steps or walked down the steps, I had to take a deep breath. Like right now, even it's hard to talk. I feel like I need to take a deep breath every once in a while. Like right there. And I don't know. It's a learning experience. So what did I learn? One, like if you're going to cough on a live stream, like, find a towel or something to cough into just in case. Two, the thing that always gets me it's all my life is I never recognize when I'm sick until it's too late. Like, so I never get a chance to really rest until like it's here. So I would do better that way if I could. But it's like, again, I just wanted the things to go well on Tuesday. Like I kept being optimistic. Things kept going wrong. And I was just like, it'll get better. It'll get better up until the point where I just couldn't go anymore. And so in some of the live stream and some of the stuff we talked about that day caused some anxiety. One is I was thinking about doing a stream at 10 and I'm still thinking about doing it. But right now, like today, tomorrow, until I get a little bit better, I'm not going to be able to stream at night because I just don't have the energy. It's going to be hard enough to pull this off. Second thing that I wanted to talk about with you is just, and this is just learning. I have my live stream and then I have my podcast, and the podcast is generally based on some small subject. And I recently opened up the Clips channel for Deal with Realty, which is basically fun or interesting clips that I take from the live stream. That when people, maybe they don't want to watch a whole live stream, but they want to get some sort of piece of information or something interesting. And so that's where I've been doing that. Well, the problem is when I get done with the stream, I had been cutting the clips for the Clips channel, and I wasn't getting a video done for the podcast. So I need to go. It's weird when you get done with the live stream, you're tired of talking, or at least I am. To push through and do a podcast is a little more difficult, and so what was happening is do the live stream at about 9, and then it takes me. I'd finish the live stream around 10. Once I got it all uploaded and everything right into YouTube, that'd be about 10:30. Start writing the podcast, maybe get it recorded around 11. Then while it's rendering, go have lunch and get back to work. What I'd been doing though is lately finish the live stream, render the live stream, get that in shape, get it uploaded and everything, and then start on the clips, which made sense to me because it's like, hey, you should be able to remember points that you're going to clip during the live stream. But all it does is just keep you from getting done with that podcast. And so I'm gonna try and get back to that schedule now. I don't know that I feel relaxed about the podcast topics. I'm getting nervous about subjects because I feel like I'm never going to run out. But like a story about someone getting bit, a neighbor getting bit by their dog, okay, isn't interesting anymore. Like it happens literally once a week somewhere in the United States. So there's not much to add to that anymore. When you poison your neighbor's dog, I find that to be abhorrent, but we've covered it. So like, how do we do it again? When you shoot your neighbor's dog to protect your neighbor who's being attacked by their dog, I thought that was an interesting thing, and that was worth talking about. But again, like you can only do so many of those shows. And so it's fascinating. I've got 2 stories of things I never would have thought possible. I've got 2 stories this year on peacocks. Azul the peacock was murdered, and then I don't remember the other peacock story right off the top of my head. But I wouldn't have thought that would have happened. 2 in a year. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Happy to be with you. Want to go over real estate items. Want to go over some news that I thought was interesting, and then we'll go from there. So, I don't normally start so fast, 8 minutes in, but let's get started today and just see how it goes. Basically, first article I have for you today. I haven't read it all the way, but I think it's important when it comes to the real estate game, and that is inflation. And I've warned against inflation. I've said, hey, we need to do something about inflation. This is not a good situation. This is going to hurt people. Nobody seems to care. It's not the number one thing in Google Trends. It had 100,000 searches. So that's not really that exciting. Let's go over the article and then see what we can add to it or what we think. So, prices climbed 7.5% in January compared with last year, continuing the inflation's fastest pace in 40 years. It says high inflation is undermining a robust recovery, testing policymakers at the Federal Reserve and the White House. And so, let me offer the first point, and that is high inflation undermining a robust recovery, or is high inflation the result of gaming the system to create a robust recovery? Is this being created unnaturally? And my belief is yes. Is it for sinister gains? No, I don't think so. people don't know what they're doing. I mean, they may be experts, but they don't. When you say, when I go to the grocery store and I spend $50 more per week than I did the week before, and my wages didn't go up, people at the Federal Reserve who make at least six figures don't care. They don't. What do they care? $50 a week is nothing to these people. So they just don't know. Some of the more well-known Fed folks will have their own drivers. They will not need a car. They will not check gas prices. Will not care. Their insurance is paid for by the government, so they won't notice any inflation there. So they'll just think you're an idiot, basically, because they're not living in the world that you're living in. That's why it's a problem. That's why you must speak out and hope that someone hears you. But let's go over it here. It says prices continued their upward march in January, rising by 7.5% compared with the same period a year ago, the fastest pace in 40 years. Well, that's not good. This was in 1982 they're talking about, the last time this was the case. So it says inflation was expected to climb relative to last January when the economy reeled from winter coronavirus surge with no widespread vaccines. This is their own writing, and I'm fine with that. I don't think that this is the way I would characterize why the economy reeled. But hey, today's new inflation rate reflects all the accumulated price gains in gasoline and other categories built up in a tumultuous 2021. In the shorter term, data released Thursday by the Bureau of Labor Statistics also showed prices rose 0.6% in January, compared with December, the same as November to December inflation rate, which officials revised upwards slightly. As with previous months, higher prices reached into just about every sector of the economy. So I think that inflation is the worst possible thing that can happen. I just can't stand it. It drives me insane. And here we go. It says, I'm worried, chief economist at Grant Thornton. She expects inflation to begin falling in the next few months, but warns that it might be difficult to bring price growth down to pre-pandemic levels. It says the Fed is counting on, let's see if I can pause this because it's distracting. The Fed is counting on inflation abating somewhat on its own. The problem is that even as inflation abates, it may not cool enough to not to burn. Some of the inflation we are seeing is becoming more entrenched in the service sector. There is no playbook for derailing inflation in this environment. And my question to you is, when you've kept interest rates artificially low for months and months and months, okay, and we see the boom in housing, okay, how is the inflation going to abate on its own in that industry? I mean, purchasing a house is highly dependent on interest rates and the ability to borrow money at low rates or high rates, depending on the situation. But if you screw up housing, you screw up construction. If you screw up construction, it just goes down and down. It's not good, and it's being inflated. I mean, we haven't done anything about it. We just haven't done anything. It says increases in the cost of food, electricity, and shelter helped drive inflation higher in January, with household furnishings, clothing, and medical care becoming costlier, while used car costs continued to spiral, albeit at a slower pace than in prior months. So let's talk about this. The cost of food. Okay. I don't have any issues with the cost of food increasing in the sense that it happens. Now, electricity, let's talk about that. Why did we invest in windmills and not nuclear power? Nuclear power is the most green energy there is in the world. Why is it that we didn't? Why are we investing in these silly windmills? Why are we forcing our power companies to get off of coal and not move to nuclear, but instead move to windmills and solar, which are not as efficient as nuclear? And then why are we paying for that? So whether or not it's inflation or not, it was a bad policy, and it's going to continue to be a bad policy. And then shelter. Well, if your home prices increases, so are your rent. I mean, your rents are going to increase. So it's not like a surprise, is what I'm trying to say. When you've lowered rates, artificially lowered rates, for months and months and months. These increases in these costs are not a surprise. This is textbook economics. This is not a surprise. That's why it's so amazing to watch it happen in real life and say, hey, this is pretty obvious, and yet the Fed can't seem to figure it out. I mean, a freshman that takes an economics class can pretty much figure out that this is going to happen. Okay? This isn't like real difficult. Compared with 2021, the energy index rose 27% and food rose 7%. The cost of food rose in January compared with December, with cereals and baked goods increasing the most. Fruits and vegetables also edged up. Well, let's talk about the energy index. We've talked about how certain administrations prefer, quote unquote, the green economy. And so they don't really care if energy, as far as gasoline goes up. Why would they care? That's got nothing to do with them. They're going to be driving their electric cars, and they don't care. So it's really fascinating to watch your own elected leaders try to destroy the economy with their. I mean, you voted for them, so you had to know this was coming. Anyway, several categories posted their largest price increases ever, including frozen and freeze-dried prepared foods, cakes, cupcakes, and cookies. Prices for vending machines, household furnishing and supplies, tools, household cleaning products, tires, medical services, and video and audio services were also costlier than ever. I mean, this isn't good. Rent costs rose from December to January, climbing at a slightly faster pace than the previous 2 months. Economists have especially been worried about rising home and rent costs, which can get locked in through long-term contracts and may not improve after supply chains clear up. Well, look, let's just say you decide to raise rates. Employees are not getting more money, okay, due to inflation. They're not taking home a higher wage due to inflation. Their wages are flat. I mean, how are they going to buy these homes when you raise the rates? So you're going to kill this industry. You say, no, it's going to be a slower drop off. I don't see that. When people can't work and when people can't afford things, they're not going to be real happy about it. This is my own opinion. If you're part of the laptop class, you don't care right now. And I don't know when you will care, to be honest. I don't. So many of our businesses now revolve around being employed by the government or being employed by the medical field, highly subsidized by the United States government. And then you've got, what was the other one? You've got government jobs. I mean, show me a chart on the government jobs that says that those have gone down in the past 10 years. So there's going to be a lot of people that are always going to have jobs. As this showed during the virus. The problem is the people that are not in those industries are going to get crushed. A drop in gasoline prices over the past month was offset by a sharp jump in monthly electricity prices. It's the fastest pace that electric bills have risen in 16 years. Well, you've made input costs higher, so they're going to pass that on. Sharp inflation has undermined an otherwise robust recovery. The economy has rebounded markedly since plunging into a recession almost 2 years ago. And why was that? Why did we plunge into a recession almost 2 years ago? Over the past 12 months, the U.S. economy has added nearly 7 million jobs, and average hourly earnings have climbed 7%. The overall economy has shown relative resilience to new waves of the coronavirus, and stocks have bounced back from their volatile starts in 2022. But who killed the economy in the first place? And why? Did we ever find out who's responsible? Is it still the wet markets? High inflation has left an indelible mark on the economy, including the highest price increase for housing, food, and energy that many workers have ever seen. And questions loom about how or whether the policymakers will be able to rein prices back in without slowing the recovery or even causing another recession. The answers will have enormous implications for policymakers at the Federal Reserve and the Biden administration. It really won't. It won't have that big of implications for any of these decision makers. All of these people will remain employed no matter what decisions they make. They could make the right decision. They could make the wrong decision. They're still going to have a job. And you can say, well, John, if an economist at the Fed screws up, they may lose their job. Well, they've always got a job to go to. It's not nearly that bad of a deal. And you get to use the cachet of the fact that you worked for the government to get your next job. So it's not going to hurt these people at all. There is no implication for policymakers at the Federal Reserve and the Biden administration. None. 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 They will face no accountability for any of the decisions they make, no matter how good or how poor they are. It says the White House has been touting its actions to lower prices, including target corporate consolidation, to help create product markets that are more competitive. So you're going to attack the beef market, okay? But you're not going to do anything about YouTube or Google or Facebook or any of these other places. The whole thing is just a joke. The whole thing is just a joke. The president has been clear that this is really challenging for families' budgets and one he is working to address as quickly as possible. He's not. Joe Biden's not working at all, doesn't care about you, hasn't cared about you the entire time, and no politician does. I don't want you to think that Mitch McConnell would care about you either. David Cameron, Deputy Director of the National Economic Council, told the Washington Post, that's reflected in our actions we're taking to address supply chain and kitchen table costs through the kinds of investments we saw in the rescue plan. It's why we're focused on increasing competition to get the lower prices Americans deserve. We don't have a right to lower prices. Okay? What are you doing for the rescue plan? What is actually going on? So don't give me this. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. That's the thing. It says, but inflation has proved a blistering political handicap for Biden and a litmus test for how many Americans judge the economy. Republicans largely blame the Democrats' $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan for overheating the economy, and the GOP is set to hammer on inflation going in the midterm elections this fall. And let's talk about that. Do Republicans have the right to complain about inflation? Yes. Do Democrats have the right to complain about inflation? Yes. Okay. Because inflation is a problem affecting all of us. It's not a political issue in that sense. One party is not going to be able to take moral supremacy for this issue. They're both responsible, equally responsible, and I have no interest in the idea that the Republicans will pounce or seize on this opportunity because, like, if you listen to Jimmy Dore, the two political parties are all the same anyway. Joe Biden's economy has Americans drowning in record high inflation. People in Wyoming are now paying sky-high prices for gas, groceries, heating bills, and rent. As a result, they're having to change how they live while Democrat-driven inflation keeps eating away at their paychecks. Look, if you want to talk about spending, let's look at the Trump administration and their spending, okay? I mean, let's be honest. Let's be really honest about where the spending occurred. Now, did Joe Biden stop the spending when he got in office? No. Has any politician in the last 30 years stopped spending? No. Why? It's easier to kick it down the can for somebody else to worry about. So I don't really want to hear about it. Now, Senator John Barrasso from Wyoming, okay? I have no idea what significance this is. I don't know why you're being quoted this way. There's so many things you could have done as a senator that you've chosen not to do during your time in Washington. So I don't need this. All signs suggest that the Federal Reserve, which is in charge of keeping prices stable, is that what they're really in charge of? They've done a shit job of it ever since I've been alive. So I really don't know if that's what they're responsible for, they're doing a terrible job. Will raise interest rates at its next policy meeting in March. Higher interest rates make it more expensive for households and businesses to borrow money, which slows spending and can cool off a hot economy and curb price growth. It also could cause stagflation. Momentum in the job market combined with soaring inflation has pushed Fed officials to suggest they plan to raise interest rates higher and faster than officials previously anticipated. The Fed is expected to end its sprawling asset purchase program next month and raise its rates multiple times in 2022, with some analysts predicting as many as 5 hikes. Yeesh. The Fed officials say they expect inflation will fall later this year, especially if supply chains clear their backlogs and consumer demand eases to more normal levels. What is wrong about wanting to buy chicken at the store? What is wrong about wanting to buy beef at the store? I mean, the fact that you've made it too expensive to buy beef or that you can't even get chicken from time to time, that's on you. That's on you. The American people, like everyone in the rest of the world, should be allowed and happy and able to go to the store and buy whatever they want. Okay? That why should consumer demand ease for these products? If I want to buy a used car at a reasonable price, why are you involved in that? Okay? How have you gotten this so screwed up that you can't buy a decent used car? There's underlying problems here, okay? That inflation is showing you there's problems. And the refusal to do anything about it. You're going to raise rates. Great. Raise rates. See what happens with the weak economy then. There are multiple forces which should be working over the course of the year for inflation to come down. This is the man that wrote that inflation was transitory. So I really, again, how transitory was it? It wasn't too much, because now we're in the highest rate ever in 40 years. We do realize that the timing and the pace of that are highly uncertain, and that inflation has persisted longer than we thought. Yeah, we screwed up. We still have jobs, and we're still being praised. My paycheck still clears every week. So I don't know what you guys are worried about. And that's kind of the approach that they all take, and that's why we're in the problem that we're in. Of course, we're prepared to use our tools to assure that higher inflation does not become entrenched. Well, what happens? What happens? Says Swank, the economist, says she is worried it might already be too late. The Fed doesn't have a good record of derailing an actual surge in inflation without rate hikes bleeding into the unemployment. The Fed doesn't have a good record of derailing an actual surge in inflation without rate hikes bleeding into the unemployment. So this is a quote from an economist that says, when you raise rates, people are going to lose their jobs. This is a problem. As wages rise, inflation may already be getting entrenched into the economy. Colgate-Palmolive, which sells toothpaste, pet food, and more recently announced price hikes to cover soaring costs. And that's another thing is, look, if you're in the laptop class, you don't care. So what? So what if it costs more money, right? But those people that aren't in the laptop class are getting crushed. Just crushed. Crushed. So you can raise prices on things as long as people have the money to pay for them. But if they don't, and they say, well, I'm going to have to buy the cheaper brand toothpaste because I can't afford your toothpaste, it doesn't really matter if you raise prices because no one's going to buy your product. That's where we could go. It's a very bad place. I don't wish it on anyone. Chief Executive Noel Wallace said on a recent earnings call that he expects the price of raw materials to peak in the first 3 months of the year, and the company will be able to increase profits later in the year as recent price hikes took effect and raw material costs begin to fall. So what does that mean? That means that even as his input costs go down, he's projecting, he's going to keep the prices high to make a bigger profit. Now, you say that's evil, that's wrong. That's business. That's business. As long as he can get away with the higher prices, he's going to do so. Because prices are rising everywhere, there is a lower risk of customers switching to a cheaper competitor. See? They're not stupid. They're not stupid. Houston-based Cisco, a major supplier of food for restaurants, hospitals, and other institutions, has stayed in strong financial shape despite double-digit growth in food prices. It has been able to charge customers more while winning significant new business with its lower-cost products. On a recent earnings call, the firm's chief financial officer was asked whether inflation had peaked. He demurred, "We are continuing to see elevated levels of inflation. As much as I would like to call when the down point will be, it's impossible for us to do so. At the very least, he expects inflation to remain elevated throughout June." But just when you see like it's been able to charge customers more while winning significant new business with its lower cost products, just understand that you're still going to have these multinational corporations, and their position will be increased and strengthened by inflation as fewer competitors can enter the marketplace and survive. So it's like, this is a disaster. Economists say that the economy has a long way to go before prices settle back to what's considered typical inflation. The pandemic economy has been anything but predictable, and new coronavirus variants have weighed on supply chains, raised workers' exposure risk to the virus, and complicated households' ability to find childcare. it doesn't happen this year. It just doesn't. And I think everyone just needs to be honest about that, said a former economic advisor to George W. Bush and John McCain. So I don't think too highly of that person either. The Fed is talking a big game, but they've had the foot on the accelerator for years now, and they haven't done anything yet. And that's absolutely true. Look, we talked about inflation at the beginning of the year. It's now February. They haven't done anything. Now they're talking about March. Seriously. Get it together. Ready? That was that article. Now let's talk about another article I thought was interesting, and I want to couch it in the real estate world. Okay. And how it relates to real estate. And it's about marketing. It says Adidas titillates social media with ads for sports bra featuring women's bare breasts. So I don't know if you saw it, but Adidas put on social media an ad for a new line of women's sports bras. It says the ad features images of 25 topless women, which is not something that I need in my everyday life at all. But it's not for me. It's to generate a buzz. And did it work? Well, 50,000 more searches were for Adidas today versus yesterday. So I guess it did. It created the buzz. Now they had to do it by this particular way, and I just know that as a real estate agent, it's very, very hard to generate any sort of buzz. Okay, and when you have a company such as Adidas, which can do such a thing and get away with it, they will not be punished in any way. They will be praised for being bold and innovative, because sex sells, but we're going to act like it doesn't. But anyway, let's get to the article and just couch that in a real estate setting. Adidas is clearing its right to bear boobs. The apparel maker is rolling out a new line of female sports bras with an eye-popping ad that features 25 faceless women's breasts. And says, we believe women's breasts in all shapes and sizes deserve support and comfort. The company said in the ad, which is posted on Twitter, which is why our new sports bra range contains 43 styles so that everyone can find the right fit for them. Well, that's wonderful. And it really needed to be done this way. Very classy. Naturally, the risque ad generated buzz on social media. Some on Twitter accused the company of posting the ad for shock value, which is what they did, while others said it was a celebration of women's bodies. Yeah. Okay. It says, I'm all for boobies and positivity, but what are they selling? One Twitter user asked. Yes, what are they selling? Exactly. They're selling sports bras, and they're using 25 pictures of women's breasts to do so. Shouldn't it at least show how their body positive bras support all different kinds of boobies? Or is this just another shock ad designed only to generate revenue by using women's bodies? Exhausting. This is exactly right. Okay. But for it to be right would be kind of boring. So you have to generate some sort of outrage. One user wondered, will you show us penises too of different shapes and sizes for the pant boxer set? And that is my question. And that's where you really get into the double standards of what I would say sexism in the United States. I mean, seriously, let's be honest. It's ridiculous. And just a really good thing that I didn't scroll by this while in an office setting. Now look, how often are you in an office setting anymore? Honestly, if you're part of the laptop class, you're working from home anyway. No one sees you. And yes, I believe the human body is beautiful. Doesn't mean I need or want to see the parts meant for their husbands and babies. I think the same way. I have no issue with the human body. I just think it lacks any sort of class to do what. I mean, it's very easy for them. It's so easy. It doesn't take any creativity or skill. It's the lowest common denominator we have in advertising is to use sex. Now, a supporter of the ad, and I found this interesting, a supporter of the ad is a father of 2 daughters that played sports. This is way overdue. Thank you. A lot of girls give up sports because they can't find the right fit to stay comfortable. So this quote unquote man, we're saying that because, bots can easily be on Twitter. We're saying that this man says that, because you've shown me this particular ad, now everything's really wonderful and great. Thank God you used this ad to promote a product. You couldn't have done this any other way. And that's just it. It's not that you can't do it. Okay. It's not that you can't do it. You can do it and it'll generate buzz. My issue is with the idea that they're not doing it for that reason. And let me just show you how it worked out in real estate for one real estate agent, a man who attempted this. It says Compass agent stripped of job after burying all in listing photos. Days after posting in the buff for racy photos meant to entice homebuyers into purchasing a sleek $1.2 million Los Angeles home, luxury agent David Ferrugo has been stripped of his duties at New York-based Compass. Ferrugo posted nude but for a robe photos of himself on Instagram scrambling eggs in a kitchen, sleeping in a bed, and reading a newspaper on the driveway. And now he's fired. It says Compass disassociated the agent in question for violating our social media policy, which prohibits the use of obscene or offensive images. Okay? They were blurred. It's just ridiculous. This is blurred picture, okay? I got in trouble when I posted the link on YouTube. I did a video about it at the time. I even said then, I was like, if a woman does this, it's okay. If a man does it, it's not going to work. It didn't work. And I'm not saying that it's okay for women in the sense that I don't think it's right for anybody to do it. I think it's of low class. Okay. That's what I think. That's what I get upset about. You know, Adidas can get away with it because they as a corporation chose. This man worked for Compass, which is a large real estate brokerage. He couldn't get away with it. He got fired immediately for his idea. You can only use sex to sell if you're a large corporation. And then if you are a large corporation, you have to couch it into some sort of social justice. Okay? And that's what I have a problem with. We're using social justice to avoid real facts, like Adidas, like Nike. Let's talk about some social justice issues like child slavery in China, slave labor. Let's talk about that. What companies do you think are involved in that type of business? Oh, that's right. It's the same company that's showing me boobs on Twitter. This is what makes me sick. It isn't about showing the boobs on Twitter. It's about the dishonesty in couching it in a social justice movement to distract from what you're really doing, which is employing slave labor. That's my problem. Stated as clearly as I possibly can. Let's look at this second way that I find social justice advertising being used in such a way that makes people uncomfortable and sick, and is when it misses and how that works. Now we always talk about the Gillette ad as the number one social justice move that went south, and good for them. I will never buy another Gillette product, and I mean, that's me. You're welcome to buy their 7-bladed or 12-bladed razors. How about they just get one blade and do it right? Like, would it be that difficult to just give me just one blade so I can just done? But they can't. They have to keep adding to the razor so it can keep adding to the cost. And it's just a ridiculous setup. And then while they do that, they can sit there and insult me with their ads. That's the world we're living in. So anyway, I wanted to go over this because I thought this was a very fascinating where the world is at this moment. It says, inspired by Che Guevara and Fidel Castro, a New York restaurant missteps in Miami. Now, there's a large Cuban population in Miami. Maybe you didn't know that. I'm willing to bet that some of those people had to take a raft to get to the United States shore to get away from Castro. I'm just saying, maybe there's some people down there, okay? And maybe it's not the best thing to celebrate the visionary that Fidel Castro was to those people. Maybe they'll find that a bit offensive. They risked their lives to come to the United States, and now you're using your social justice marketing for these people. And by the way, if nobody's coined it, I will coin it right now. Social justice marketing. That's what this is. A Mexican hangout where the late Cuban dictator Fidel Castro and Che Guevara plotted the Cuban Revolution is the inspiration behind a New York City restaurant opening a location soon in Miami. The city of Miami is having a problem with this. Now, let's understand this from a couple different ways. Can this company put a restaurant that thumbs its nose at Cubans in Miami. Do they have a right to do so under the United States? Yes. Is it smart? No. But they might be generating enough buzz on this stupidity to get them somewhere. And when you're in business, if you can get people in the door, you're winning. We have very perverse incentives for things in the United States, and everywhere, not just in the United States, but it's just a very fascinating thing. So, Cafe Habana, set to open in Miami in the spring of 2022, opened its first location inside a converted New York diner in 1997. The concept is a fusion of Cuban and Mexican cuisine with a backstory rooted in communist revolutionary lore. Inspired by a storied Mexico City hangout where legend has it that Che Guevara and Fidel Castro plotted the Cuban Revolution, the flagship of Cafe Habana location was created out of an old school New York diner in 1997. 18 years later, Cafe Habana remains an institution. It's an institution in New York. And that was the description on the website until this week, based on this reporting. Okay. The information was scrubbed from the restaurant's website and Google in the days after people in Miami discovered the restaurant's backstory. The Soho restaurant's website still displays a Brooklyn mural of the late rapper Biggie Smalls, who sang the song Get Money, painted as Commandant Biggie. In Miami, a city with a huge Cuban expat population, a restaurant that celebrates the plotting of the Cuban Revolution by two communist leaders and rebrands American cultural icons as communist propaganda can expect a pushback. Do you think? Local social media personality Jose Alvarez posted about the restaurant changing its original story on its website. I'm sorry, but here in Miami, there's two things we don't accept: communism and gringos making croquetas. Now, I don't know. I don't think that was an appropriate thing to say, but hey, the restaurant calls its founder a fifth-generation New Yorker, an eco-conscious philanthroper, and visionary entrepreneur. Sean Meehan had a dream. That dream was Cafe Habana. I have dreams. They're crushed on a daily basis, but I do have them still. It says the restaurant's menu is a mishmash of stereotypical Cuban Mexican cuisine. Beside grilled corn topped with mayonnaise, cotija cheese, and chili powder is a Cuban sandwich. The website claims was voted best in New York City. Well, there you go. Best in New York City. Aside from the traditional ham, roast pork, and Swiss cheese, it's slathered with chipotle mayo and served on a roll. Miami has reacted differently to restaurants and owners aligning themselves with the Cuban Revolution. It says Cafe Habana is less than a mile north of a steakhouse where its founder, nicknamed the Salt Bay in memes, dressed in honor of Fidel Castro on Instagram. He found protest outside his restaurant for days. And it comes just months after the consulting chef at a New South Beach restaurant from the New York City-based Major Food Group posted a photo of black bean dish online, lamenting severe pain over the Cubans who have passed away and have not been privileged to eat this black bean. So just when you're doing your social justice marketing, make sure it's how do I say it? Impenetrable. Okay. It needs to be about race. Okay. It needs to be about something where everyone can just say you're racist and then you can get away with it. You can't do what they did here by saying we can't use communism in this way. You used it in the wrong way. Okay. If you want to use communist in a social justice marketing sense, you have to say something like, all of the people in the restaurant are paid $15 an hour that work there, and part of our profits go to some communist organization. There. Now you've solved it. The last thing you want to do is align yourself in this way, in this location. I just find it to be ridiculous. Really, really not well thought out. Really, really well. I mean, and to you, and I love this. I mean, we're seeing this all the time now. Okay. I think it's brilliant advertising, okay? Because you can't argue it, okay? Uh, you can say, oh, you're the one. If you have a problem with Castro, what's your problem? Why would you think that way? Castro was great. I mean, that's where we're at right now, is it's still a backwards world. So, I don't know. I have seen a place in St. Louis where a woman is married to the son of a very successful trial lawyer. And in business, they use that the woman is not in her home country and she's so poor and she can hardly make any money. And she has a restaurant that, because of the success of the husband's father, will never go out of business. The only time it'll go out of business is when they can't find people to work for her because she won't be doing anything. So the business has never been fair. Okay. I don't know that there's much morality in business. Okay. I like to think there is, but I know better. I've seen real estate agents, especially investors. I've seen two investors fighting over I literally seen real estate agents that are quote unquote investors running to the hospital to get signatures to old ladies selling their houses before they die. Okay. I'm understanding of the morality of business. I'm not naive or anything like that. I just think that the way that it's been done now, with this idea of social justice leading the way as a marketing move, is fascinating. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Probably a response to the pendulum. It swings one direction and then it comes back the other direction. So we'll see. But very, very, very fascinating. Very, very, very tone deaf. And kudos to people that are upset about this and calling it out for what it is. And that's what I have to say about that. Let's move on to some listings. I've never been to Hawaii. My aunt has been to Hawaii, who's also my godmother. So I don't want to get that confused. My parents have been. That's why I said it was wonderful. Had some people say that it's not wonderful. Some other friends say that there's some bad parts of Hawaii, which I wasn't aware of. And so anyway, let's look at this. I know the Obamas are building a house out there. This says $27 million, 4 bedrooms, 5.5 baths, 16,726 square feet on a 0.71 acre lot. Let's just go over real quick the top 3 brokers. Compass has a listing. They're the ones that fired that guy for nudity. But it was okay for Adidas to do it in their ad. Hawaii Life Real Estate Brokers is another one. And then Search High Pacific Century Properties. Okay, that's where we're at. Top 3, 27 million. Let's take a look. I'm going to open in a new window. Been on the market for 304 days. Has a 3-car garage built in 1996. Property history, like to look at that. Sold in 2013, listed in 2014. Listing has been removed a couple times. Perhaps it was sold in that time, but it looks like since about 2015, you could have bought this house. 16 pictures. I love that. So there's the front. Is it right on the beach? No. Is the staircase gorgeous? Yes. Is the view gorgeous? Yes. Interesting choice of furnishings for the bedroom. Interesting pool / hot tub area. Very nice picture of that. That's a nice look. I don't know where the rest of I'd like to kind of see the bedrooms or something. So that's $27 million. Okay. I'm probably $26,900,000 short of being able to afford that property. $23 million, 6 bedroom, 6 bath, but only 5,000 square feet on 1.75 acre lot. Let's take a look at this. Beautiful. Built in 1998. 937 days on the market. So it's been on the market for a while. Let's look and see. Oh, it's just been listed since 2019 and that's it. Property details, not too long. Largest beachfront property for sale on Hawaii's most exclusive street. 1.75 acres. Coveted Honolulu estate, first time on the market in 30 years. 118-foot sandy beach frontage, 3 parcels. One level Hawaii modern HM design by acclaimed Hawaii architect Vladimir Osipov. Curved driveway nestled amidst lush landscaping welcomes you to this tropical retreat. Organic design in harmony with nature provides effortless transition from indoors to out and efficient use of natural light and ventilation. Living room frames ocean view and opens to lanais on both sides. Step out to ocean front yard or pool. 5-bedroom, 5-bath main house, 1-bed, 1-bath cottage. Nearly $1 million spent in 2016 on repairs, re-roofing, painting, air conditioning, and electrical work. Close to Kahala Mall and Kahala Resort Diamond, Waikiki. Includes 4679 Kahala and 4705 Kahala. 17 pictures. Doing it right. There's the beach. There's the pool. I mean, gosh. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? I mean, just nice, right? It's like we have a house on the beach in Hawaii. And there it is. I don't know if you can play over there, swim over there. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. But now let's look at another one. 22.5, 5 bedrooms, 5.5 baths, 5,425 square feet. It says Kahula Avenue, apartment C. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's part of this or what it is. I didn't look too much. So let's take a look and see what it says. 25 pictures. Property details might tell us something. Well, it says with a land area over interior designed by Mary Philpotts, one of Hawaii's foremost designers. Rarely available, coveted location on a gated private lane in the 4800 block of Kahala Avenue, with proximity to the Kahala Hotel in the Wailele Country Club. What's the property history? Sold in 2005, listed in 2022. I'll take it. 14 days, 25 pictures, really rocking with the pictures. I mean, there it is. And there's the beach. I don't know how you get to the beach. It doesn't look like you can, but maybe. Look at that pool. Look at the koi pond. Look at the house. It's nice. It's nice. Hard to complain about this. My gosh. There's your little, I don't know if that's a garage. I don't know what that is. 4-car garage. What says 3? Man. Can you imagine, like, I don't know if you can play over here if the water's too bad or what, I don't. But man, I live in a house on the beach in Hawaii. 22 million. Do we want to do another one? I kind of do. Let's look at one more. I mean, there's a number of houses here that I'd love to have. I don't know. Like, I don't understand. No offense. I don't understand what one does with these properties. I don't know if you live there all the time or. There's 25 pictures, 324 days on the market, built in 2012, 3-car garage, property details. I don't know. Too much for me to read right now. Property history is what I'm interested in. Sold in 2010. Listing removed in 2010 and 2010. First time listed at 3/23/2021. 25 pictures. Let's just take a look. I mean, so that's gorgeous. I mean, again, there's the ocean. But look at all the houses. I mean, it's not like you're going to be by yourself exactly. If any of you, like, and I'm serious, we're going to put this live stream out today. It's 2022. If any of you ever own a house in Hawaii on the beach, like just get in contact with me. I just want to know what it's like. I don't it's not so much envy as much as I'm just blown away by the thought of living like this. Like it's you have to understand, from someone that grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, in South County, the idea that one could live on a beach like in Hawaii, it's you have to understand, it's so far past anything that I would have ever thought of. So please, I'm not trying to be emotional about it. Just, reach. I'm sure that the power of the internet will allow that to happen. And just, I don't want to stay there or anything like that. I don't want to bother you in any way. I would just like to hear what it's like. I'm sure it's great, but it's not something that I'm used to. It's not in my world. So again, anytime, please understand, it's 2022. If you're seeing this in 2025, 2035, please reach out. I'll be a little older, but still very, very interested in this setting. Wanted to go over this article. Probably going to go over maybe two, but want to go over this article here. It's something I thought was interesting. It says Pinterest's new AR feature will let you try on furniture and home decor. Buying a couch could be easier with the help of augmented reality. Now, to me, this isn't new. Sherwin-Williams has had for years. You can put paint colors on your own wall. It doesn't seem to me the same, though, as if you actually go there. So I don't know. It's just there's something about something that is real, that you can see, that you can touch, and then augmented reality. It says picking a new piece of furniture for your home can feel like solving a puzzle. Is the couch too big? Will the cow print bar stool clash with the granite countertop? Retailers and tech companies are boosting their use of augmented reality to help customers decide what products to buy. AR lets people superimpose a virtual image onto a view of the real world through their phone's camera, making it easier to visualize what an item will look like in a particular space. Totally agree. It does help, but there's no substitute for the real thing. On Monday, digital pinboard company Pinterest is releasing a new feature called Try On for Home Decor. The tool will let you see how products from Crate and Barrel, CB2, Target, Walmart, West Elm, Wayfair, and others look in your space before purchasing the items. The feature is the latest example of tech companies and brands embracing AR, a development that comes as social networks explore the creation of new virtual worlds. Brands such as CB2 and Target have already, I didn't even know there was such a brand as CB2, already have ways for their customers to shop using AR. That's where I'm at. It's not new. It's just new to Pinterest. Pinterest allows people to see products from various retailers in one place, said Jeremy King, Senior Vice President of Engineering at Pinterest. Retailers are happy to work with us because they know people don't typically buy their entire bedroom set from one company. They want a chance to mix and match. I think that's true. I think my wife has mixed and matched. I don't think we've bought everything from the same place. Returning a big piece of furniture can be a pain, so it isn't surprising that more brands have been experimenting with AR. Trying on items virtually can also entice people into clicking the buy button. In 2020, Pinterest rolled out an AR feature that lets people try on makeup. Pinterest found that users are 5 times more likely to buy makeup when they interact with this AR tool, and King said that the platform hopes to see the same behavior for home decor. Well, that's cool. Even though the ability to visualize AR items in your space has been around for years, shopping with AR hasn't become mainstream yet. About half of U.S. adults have used or at least somewhat interested in using AR for virtual reality while shopping, according to an October 2021 survey. Let's see. Am I open to using? Yes, I'm open to using AR. It's true, I am. But I'm also not how else are you going to do it? That's kind of where I'm at. We're seeing that interest rise slowly but steadily. Young people who primarily are leading the way for shopping with AR. On social media, teenagers are already using AR filters to communicate with one another. Incorporating the technology is a natural next step for these social networks. Snapchat, which also has AR tools to try on luxury clothing and purses, published a report last year that projected in 2025 the proportion of U.S. Gen Z shoppers who use AR before buying a product will increase by 37%. Now, that's one generation. That one generation may also find in 20 years that they don't want to use AR anymore because they think it's a joke. You know, things change. I mean, how many people in 1990 would have said, I will always use CDs to listen to music? Using Pinterest's new AR tool, it says, home decor and furniture items Pinterest users can virtually place in their space have a cube icon displayed on the upper left side of a pin, which are bookmarks used to save content on the platform. When you click on the pin, there's an option to try your space. Users are then prompted to move their phone as the camera's technology figures out how far objects are away from you. Depending on the camera angle, the object can appear bigger or smaller. When the item is in the right spot, you click a check button. The AR home decor feature will be available on more than 80,000 shoppable pins, which includes a link to the retailer's website to buy the product. Still, using AR to shop can be rather clunky, and that will turn some consumers away from embracing the tool. As the technology develops and the experience improves, that's probably going to bring more users into the fold. And that's right. That's right. For me, the whole thing is too clunky. I don't want to use AR. It's too hard. And by too hard, I mean it's too, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just not easy enough. It's not like hard as in like a science test. It's hard in that, like, I don't want to click 14 different buttons and position my phone 14 different ways to do something. It's just not what I want to do. Now, I would like a breakdown between women and men using the product, because I bet you there's a difference in that percentage. I don't know which would be higher. I would like to see it though. Last article for today. I just wanted to go over this because I put it in the title of my live stream, and now I won't have to change it. And I'm sorry for being selfish, but this is the best for me at this point. It says agents reveal their genius green secrets to staging a home for sale. I don't know what this is about. I haven't read it, but here we go. Kevin Curlin, an agent with Home by Choice, faced a challenge when helping a bachelor prepare his 2-bedroom, 2-bath New York City apartment for sale. His decor color palette was very singular tan. There was no life to it. But Curlin had a secret ingredient for enlivening the space, adding colorful and sculptural plants. Similarly, an Art Deco home on the market in Baltimore had a sunroom that needed a quick refresh. Enter 15-foot tall palms and pots. The home sold that same weekend. Despite these selling successes, there's a fine line between a home staged with soothing plantscape and a home that's essentially a messy plant jungle. I agree with that. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, people have gone crazy with plants. Well, I didn't know that. There's been few clients where I've had to edit their plants down. Oh my God. So if you're about to put your home on the market, understanding how to incorporate greenery and succulents to cozy up the vibe may be difference between listing dying on the vine or sprouting interest. Here's what you need to know. Now that's cute. But let's be honest, every single thing sells right now, unless you priced it wrong. Plant staging is an untapped market, says Christina Hunter, CEO of Greenleaf and Space. The difference between a home with or without plants is startling. Buyers feel that plant energy when they walk in. Now, I would agree that plants that are living and look good enhance the space. I would also say that plants that are dying and look terrible or cluttered take away from the space. Plants particularly add flair to the spec or contemporary homes with minimalist interiors. I don't know. I think any room can do with a plant as long as it's in the right spot. Most of the houses I work with are modern and can seem cold. Plants warm them up. Plants hold other benefits too, like commanding a higher offer. The right plants in the right location will absolutely get a higher price. I don't know that that's true. Okay, but go for it. Like if somebody came to me and said, John, I want to add plants to my listing. Can we get 1,000 more for the house? I would say, I don't know. I wouldn't. I would just go ahead and stage it nicely, and whatever price we agree to, let's just stick with that. Let's not attempt to make $1,000 more on a listing where, you know, it doesn't need it. In the sense that like somebody may not even pay that for the house, so they're not going to pay 1,000 more. I don't know. It's just the way I think. Indeed, Hunter plant staged your own home before it hit the market and it paid off. Within 4 days, we had 24 hours for more than we could have ever dreamed of. Each potential buyer wrote a letter about how much they loved all the plants and wanted to keep them. I have had people I have had buyers on my listing say the plants stay with the house. And I say, no, they don't. You want to stage with low maintenance plants that won't create a mess for showings or appear half dead, which might turn off a buyer. I said that. Avoid plants that drop flowers or leaves that keep it difficult to keep clean. Try growing an aloe plant, holiday cactus, jade plant, lucky bamboo, or snake plant. These plants thrive when they're being ignored. We have snake plants in my house and they're not looking really good. We split them off from a bigger plant. I don't know. Other great plants to stage with include broadleaf fig trees and areca palms, which are versatile because they don't need a lot of light. Just nix any plants that activate allergies. These are plants that flower and have pollen. Some shrubs, vine, and herbs can be bad for allergies. Interesting. I would say that's a great idea, because if someone walks in and automatically starts, freaking out, that's not good. It says, just like floral arranging, there's an art to displaying plants. Keller Williams spade starts with a showpiece plant like a ficus and surrounds it with 2 or 3 succulents. All right, I'm not going to get it. I don't. It says, but just as with photo frames, books, and dishware, the least amount of plants you can get away with, the better. You don't want the client to only remember the plants. I agree with that. Use plants to showcase home's features. Use bright green plants to draw attention to a home's amenities, such as a fireplace or row of bookcases, and use vertical plants, such as a spider plant or small tree, to show off a ceiling's height. Hanging plants are an excellent way to draw your attention in a focal point in the room. Another trick is to think of a plant staging like hanging art. You need to see it from all angles. I go out in the hallway and enter the apartment to see what a plant looks like when I walk in. Okay. Staging a home is not the time to weave eye-catching pots and vases into your decor. It says it's not. It says, she incorporated a plant stand with a bold design similar to the homeowner's existing geometric vase on a nearby coffee table. It created a cohesive visual. That's how you get that wow response from buyers when they walk in a room for the first time. Staging a home is not the time to weave eye-catching pots and vases into your decor. And then she did. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, we got through it. Let's get back to the base frame. Look, I don't know if you can tell, but like my chest right now hurts. It's burning. But I did it. I did a live stream today. It's live stream number 1, guys. Live stream number 1. We have to go back all the way and start over again. Hopefully I'll be with you tomorrow at 9. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I can get a podcast episode out tonight. But I really do appreciate it. I know you guys typically watch afterwards, and that's okay. That's okay. Anytime you watch, I appreciate it. You've been really wonderful to me, and I appreciate it. If you're watching, if you could subscribe. I don't really need a ton of subscribers, but I want to be monetized. And it's, the subscription feature on YouTube is like 10 years old. It's outdated. I get it. Now we just watch the videos that we want. We don't care about the subscriptions, but I need those subscriptions to get monetized at 1,000. So if you could please hit the subscribe button, that would do a lot for me. I'd appreciate it. And if you ever have some time and I've got a live stream going, come on in on the chat. Come on in. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's see what you're doing today. You'll know what I'm doing because I'm on the chat.